Have you ever met someone who entered your life at just the perfect moment? Almost as if fate or an unseen force sent them to deliver exactly what you needed, whether it was wisdom, support, or a challenge you hadn't even realized? In this video, we explore a profound Zen teaching: people do not come into our lives by chance. But what does this truly mean for your journey? Through captivating stories and powerful insights, we'll uncover how every encounter, big or small, can guide your spiritual growth. Stay until the end to discover the hidden lessons behind life's meaningful connections and get practical tips to navigate relationships for your personal and spiritual development. Have you ever met someone who felt like they were sent by destiny? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might inspire others on their journey. So, are you ready to discover how life's connections are shaping your path in ways you may not yet realize? Hit play and let's begin. Story 1: The Garden of Encounters. The Garden of Encounters. One day, in the serene courtyard of an ancient temple, the wise monk Hataka shared his perspective on life with a young disciple, Hiroshi. Life is like a garden. Each person you meet is a seed planted by destiny. Some bloom into beautiful flowers for a season, while others grow into enduring, mighty trees. Whether it brings joy or pain, every encounter carries an invitation for growth. Curious, Hiroshi asked, "Master, how do I distinguish between valuable seeds and those I should let go?" Hataka smiled gently and replied, "There's no need to differentiate. Every seed, be it a flower or a blade of grass, has its purpose. Those who bring you pain teach resilience and compassion. Those who bring you love help you uncover strength within. Embrace them all, for the garden becomes truly beautiful only when its colors, scents, and even its empty spaces blend together in harmony." Hataka's words are not just a metaphor, but a profound life lesson for anyone seeking peace and purpose in relationships. In the modern world, where people are increasingly busy and connections often feel fleeting, this story reminds us that no one enters our lives without a reason. Those who challenge us, or even cause us pain, are not meant to leave us in perpetual suffering, but to teach us how to rise and keep moving forward. For example, a difficult colleague may teach you how to navigate challenges with grace and maturity. A broken relationship might become an opportunity to reflect on yourself and learn to love yourself before loving others. Conversely, those who bring joy and love are not just a source of comfort, but also a driving force for growth. A friend who stands by you in tough times helps you realize the value of sharing and gratitude. A mentor who appears at the right moment can inspire you to unlock hidden potential. Life is a magical garden where every seed planted has its purpose. While we cannot control who enters our lives, we can choose how we respond to each encounter. Let Hataka's story serve as a reminder that all relationships, whether fleeting or lasting, contribute to our journey of spiritual and personal growth. Embrace the beauty and lessons of your garden, and allow it to flourish with wisdom and gratitude. Story 2: The Paradox of Helping Others. In the serene halls of a quiet monastery, the wisdom of monk Noro illuminated the hearts and minds of his disciples. One day, in his gentle yet profound manner, Noro chose to share a story that challenged conventional ideas about kindness and assistance. It was the tale of Ash and Masu, two friends whose bond was tested by the unintended consequences of misplaced compassion. Ash, a man of good intentions, watched his close friend Masu struggle with mounting debts and the emotional toll of his financial woes. Driven by a deep sense of care and an urgent desire to alleviate his friend's burden, Ash secretly intervened. Without Masu's knowledge, Ash paid off his debts, believing he had acted in the ultimate spirit of friendship and support. However, his gesture, instead of bringing the relief and gratitude he expected, became a seed of discord. When Masu discovered what Ash had done, A complex mix of emotions surfaced. On one hand, there was an undeniable relief that the debts had vanished. But this was overshadowed by a sense of humiliation, resentment, and disempowerment. Masu felt stripped of his agency, the ability to confront his challenges and overcome them on his own. What was intended as an act of kindness now seemed like an intrusion into his personal journey. Masu's pride, his growth, and his hard-earned lessons were sacrificed on the altar of Ash's good intentions. Their friendship, once a source of mutual respect and support, began to fray under the weight of this uninvited intervention. The disciples, listening intently, were puzzled at first. Wasn't Ash's act of paying off the debt a selfless act of love? Noro patiently explained that true compassion is not about solving another's problems for them, but about respecting their karmic path. Every challenge a person encounters is a teacher, guiding them to lessons they need to learn. By stepping in without being asked, Ash had inadvertently disrupted Masu's karmic journey, depriving him of the chance to grow through his struggles. Ash's help, though well-meaning, had undermined the very essence of personal growth, learning through experience. Noro emphasized that wisdom lies in understanding the balance between support and interference. Helping others is not inherently wrong, but it must be offered in a way that aligns with their readiness and willingness to receive it. Compassion does not demand that we rescue others from their trials, rather, it asks us to hold space for them as they navigate their paths. This space allows individuals to confront their fears, cultivate resilience, and emerge stronger. Ash's story is a mirror reflecting a universal truth. The urge to help often stems not just from altruism but from discomfort with witnessing another's pain. It can be easier to solve problems for someone else than to sit with the discomfort of their struggle. Yet, growth requires struggle, and struggle requires space. Without it, the lessons remain unlearned, and the individual remains unprepared for future challenges. The disciples began to see the profound wisdom in Noro's teaching. They realized that true compassion requires discernment. It means recognizing when help is genuinely needed and when stepping back is the greater act of love. It means trusting that everyone's journey, no matter how difficult, has its purpose and timing. By honoring another's path, we not only preserve their dignity but also allow them to unfold into the fullness of their potential. Noro's lesson lingered in the air long after the teaching session ended. The paradox of helping others lies in the delicate interplay between intention and impact. True compassion is not found in the act of doing for others, but in empowering them to do for themselves. Story 4: Forgiveness as Liberation. High in the mountains of India, the revered monk Cumin recounted a story that carried the profound wisdom of forgiveness. The tale centered on a merchant, consumed by anger and misunderstanding, who confronted the Buddha. In a moment of intense rage, the merchant spat on the Buddha, hoping to provoke a reaction. Yet, the Buddha's response was neither one of anger nor retaliation. Instead, his serene demeanor, marked by unshakable calmness and understanding, disarmed the merchant entirely. The Buddha's eyes reflected neither judgment nor disdain, only compassion, as he calmly wiped his face and continued his teachings without disturbance. The merchant, initially baffled by the Buddha's reaction, found himself unable to reconcile the Buddha's tranquility with his own boiling rage. Over time, this moment lingered in his mind, growing into a seed of self-reflection. The merchant came to realize that his hatred had not impacted the Buddha but had deeply rooted itself within his own heart, poisoning his peace and clarity. As the days passed, his remorse deepened. He returned to the Buddha, not out of defiance but with a desire to understand. The Buddha, still as composed as ever, welcomed him without harboring resentment. This act of forgiveness struck the merchant as profound, for it demonstrated a strength he had never encountered before. Through their subsequent conversations, the merchant came to understand the true essence of forgiveness. Forgiveness, as the Buddha explained, is not an act of condoning wrongdoing, nor is it a favor to the one who caused harm. Rather, it is a profound act of compassion toward oneself. To forgive is to release the chains that bind us to anger, resentment, and the suffering of the past. It is to unburden the heart from the weight of grudges and to reclaim the peace that such emotions steal. Kuhlman elaborated on this idea, explaining that anger and resentment act as a double-edged sword. While they may feel justified, they harm the one who clings to them far more than the one who is the target of such emotions. Carrying anger is akin to holding a burning coal with the intent to throw it at another. It is the holder who suffers the burns. Forgiveness, then, becomes an act of liberation, not for the offender but for oneself. By letting go of anger, one creates space for inner peace and personal growth, stepping out of the shadows of the past into the light of the present. Kuhlman shared that forgiveness requires strength and courage, for it challenges the ego's desire for vindication. It demands a willingness to let go of the narrative of victimhood and to see the humanity in those who have caused harm. This perspective does not excuse their actions, but recognizes that clinging to resentment only perpetuates one's own suffering. True forgiveness stems from a place of understanding, acknowledging that every individual is shaped by their own struggles, fears, and limitations. As the merchant embraced this lesson, his life transformed. The act of forgiving himself and others allowed him to break free from the emotional chains that had held him captive. He began to view the world with greater empathy, finding that forgiveness not only brought peace but also deepened his connections with others. Kuhlman emphasized that this transformation illustrates the universal power of forgiveness. It is not a sign of weakness but of immense strength, a reclaiming of one's autonomy over their emotional well-being. The story of the Buddha and the merchant reveals that forgiveness is far more than a moral virtue. It is a profound tool for liberation. It dissolves the barriers that anger and resentment create, opening the heart to healing and personal evolution. By forgiving, we free ourselves from the grip of the past and allow the present to unfold with clarity and grace. Forgiveness, then, is not just an act of compassion for others, it is an act of profound love and care for oneself. Underscore 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 underscore. Story 5. The Balance of Kindness. Arrow, a wise monk, imparted a profound lesson about the importance of balancing kindness with wisdom through a story about a cherry tree and the village it sustained. In a quiet valley, a grand cherry tree stood as the lifeblood of a small community. Its fruits provided nourishment, its shade offered respite, and its blossoms symbolized the harmony of nature and human life. For years, the tree flourished, its abundance a testament to the balance between giving and receiving. The villagers benefited greatly from its gifts, harvesting its fruit and resting beneath its branches. However, as time passed, gratitude gave way to complacency. Eager to maximize their gain, the villagers began to exploit the cherry tree. They took more than they needed, ignoring the natural rhythms that allowed the tree to thrive. Some stripped its branches for firewood, others dug at its roots to create additional farmland. No one paused to care for the tree or ensure its continued vitality. They assumed its generosity was endless, that it would continue to provide no matter how much they demanded. Slowly, the tree began to weaken. Its blossoms became sparse, its fruit withered, and its once majestic presence diminished into a shadow of its former self. Without the tree's support, the village too began to falter. and the people faced the consequences of their own short-sightedness. As Arrow explained, the cherry tree's decline was not solely the result of the villagers' greed, but also of their failure to recognize the balance necessary for sustainable kindness. The tree's generosity, while boundless in spirit, was finite in reality. By giving endlessly without receiving care in return, it became depleted. The villagers had misunderstood the nature of kindness, seeing it as an unlimited resource rather than a dynamic exchange. Their failure to nurture what nurtured them led to the breakdown of a system that had once been harmonious and mutually beneficial. Arrow drew a parallel between the tree and individuals who give excessively, emphasizing that unchecked kindness can lead to similar outcomes. Just as the tree became exhausted from giving without replenishment, people who extend themselves too far can experience emotional, physical, and spiritual burnout. Kindness, while noble, must be tempered with discernment and self-awareness. It is not selfish to set boundaries, rather, it is an act of wisdom that ensures one's generosity remains sustainable and meaningful. Through the story, Arrow illustrated that true kindness is not about giving endlessly, but about understanding when and how to give in a way that fosters growth and balance for all involved. When kindness lacks boundaries, it can inadvertently enable selfishness or dependency in others, much like the villagers who took without giving back. Conversely, when kindness is paired with wisdom, it creates a cycle of mutual care, where the giver and receiver both flourish. Arrow emphasized that kindness is a resource, much like the cherry tree's fruit, and it must be cultivated, protected, and shared mindfully. Arrow encouraged Kiera to reflect on her own life and consider where she might be giving too much or allowing others to take without reciprocity. He urged her to recognize the importance of self-care, likening it to tending to the roots of the cherry tree. Without healthy roots, the tree could not sustain itself, let alone support others. Similarly, individuals must nourish their own well-being to ensure they have the strength and capacity to help others effectively. By setting boundaries, one not only preserves their own energy but also teaches others the value of mutual respect and responsibility. The tale of the cherry tree serves as a timeless reminder that kindness, to be truly impactful, must be balanced with wisdom. It is not about denying others help or withholding generosity, but about ensuring that one's giving enriches both the giver and the receiver. Kindness tempered with discernment becomes a force of sustainability, fostering relationships and communities where compassion thrives without depleting anyone involved. Through this balance, one can create a life where generosity is both fulfilling and enduring, like the cherry tree once was before it was taken for granted. Underscore 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 underscore. Story 6: Protecting yourself from harmful intentions. Eisen, a venerable monk known for his wisdom, cautioned his disciples about the subtle yet destructive nature of harmful intentions. He identified 8 distinct signs that often revealed the presence of such intentions, including manipulation, social isolation, defamation, sabotage, exploitation, undue criticism, gaslighting, and emotional coercion. Through compelling stories of betrayal and resilience, Eisen taught that recognizing these signs is essential for safeguarding one's integrity and maintaining emotional and psychological well-being. Manipulation, he explained, is one of the most common yet insidious tools used by those with harmful intentions. Manipulative individuals distort facts, exploit vulnerabilities, and use psychological tactics to control or influence others for their own benefit. Eisen shared the story of a young villager who, out of loyalty, unknowingly followed a deceptive leader who manipulated his trust. The villager eventually realized that the leader's persuasive charm masked ulterior motives. And by the time he broke free, he had suffered significant emotional and material losses. Eisen emphasized that awareness of manipulation is the first step toward protecting oneself from being exploited. Social isolation, another red flag, is often used by harmful individuals to weaken their targets by severing their connections with others. Eisen recounted the tale of a disciple who was deliberately alienated from their community by a rival who sought to diminish their influence. Through subtle tactics, the rival created distrust between the disciple and others, leaving them vulnerable and unsupported. Eisen explained that isolation is a deliberate strategy to make individuals dependent on the manipulator, highlighting the importance of maintaining strong, supportive relationships to counteract such efforts. Defamation and sabotage, Eisen noted, are particularly destructive forms of harm aimed at damaging reputations and undermining progress. These acts often stem from envy or a desire to assert control. Eisen told of a craftsman whose innovations were sabotaged by a jealous competitor who spread false rumors to tarnish his credibility. Despite the challenges, the craftsman remained resilient, rebuilding his reputation through honesty and perseverance. Eisen underscored the need for vigilance, reminding his disciples to protect their reputations and to respond to defamation with integrity rather than retaliation. Exploitation and undue criticism, Eisen continued, often work in tandem to erode a person's confidence and sense of self-worth. Exploiters prey on the goodwill of others, taking advantage of their generosity or talents without offering fair acknowledgement or reciprocity. Excessive criticism, disguised as constructive feedback, can wear down an individual's confidence over time, making them more susceptible to further exploitation. Eisen urged his disciples to recognize the difference between genuine feedback and destructive criticism, advocating for boundaries that prevent others from taking advantage of their kindness. Gaslighting and emotional coercion are subtle yet powerful tools used to destabilize individuals by making them doubt their perceptions and judgments. Eisen shared a story of a healer who, under the influence of a toxic companion, began to question their abilities and decisions. The companion manipulated events and twisted truths to create confusion, eroding the healer's confidence. Only by seeking clarity and trusting their intuition did the healer regain their footing and recognize the harm being inflicted. Eisen stressed that trust in one's own perceptions is a vital defense against such psychological tactics. Throughout his teachings, Eisen highlighted the importance of self-awareness and vigilance in navigating relationships. He reminded his disciples that not all harmful intentions are immediately apparent. They often manifest gradually through patterns of behavior. Recognizing these patterns early can prevent deeper harm and enable individuals to take protective measures. Eisen also emphasized the value of building relationships rooted in mutual respect and trust, where intentions are transparent and support is reciprocal. By cultivating discernment, Eisen explained, one can guard their integrity and maintain emotional balance. Harmful influences thrive when individuals neglect to set boundaries or overlook warning signs. But with awareness and resilience, these influences can be effectively countered. Relationships should be nurtured with care, ensuring they enrich rather than deplete one's well-being. Eisen's wisdom serves as a timeless reminder to protect oneself from harm while fostering connections built on honesty, respect, and trust. Underscore 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 underscore. Story 7: The Value of Solitude. Elena, feeling burdened by loneliness and a sense of disconnection, approached Kobo, a hermit monk known for his life of solitude and introspection. She confided in him her struggles with isolation and her longing for companionship. Kobo listened patiently and then offered her a perspective that transformed her understanding of solitude. He explained that being alone is not inherently a curse or misfortune, but can instead be a profound gift, one that many overlook or misunderstand. Solitude, Kobo explained, is a space for self-discovery, a rare opportunity to turn inward and connect deeply with one's own thoughts, emotions, and aspirations. In the constant noise of social interactions and external demands, it is easy to lose touch with the self. Solitude, he said, is like a still lake that reflects the sky clearly, offering insights into one's true nature. Without distractions, a person can explore their values, strengths, and desires with clarity and focus. Kobo shared his own experience of retreating into the mountains, where the absence of others allowed him to develop a deeper understanding of his purpose and inner strength. Kobo further elaborated that solitude provides the foundation for cultivating meaningful relationships. When individuals rush to fill their lives with social connections out of fear of being alone, they often compromise on the depth and authenticity of those relationships. He explained that quality matters far more than quantity. Genuine connections require a strong sense of self, which can only be nurtured in moments of quiet introspection. Without understanding oneself, it becomes challenging to connect deeply with others. Solitude is not about avoiding relationships, but about preparing oneself to engage in them with greater authenticity and depth. Through stories, Kobo illustrated the transformative power of solitude. He told Elena about a traveler who, weary of the world's chaos, sought refuge in a forest. Initially, the silence and solitude felt unbearable, amplifying the traveler's insecurities and fears. But over time, the stillness revealed answers to questions the traveler had long ignored. When the traveler finally returned to society, they carried a newfound wisdom and presence, enriching every relationship they formed. Kobo emphasized that solitude, while initially uncomfortable, is a teacher that fosters resilience, self-awareness, and emotional balance. Kobo also addressed Elena's fear of being disconnected from others, reminding her that solitude does not equate to isolation. Isolation is a state of being cut off, often leading to despair, while solitude is a chosen state of being alone with purpose and intent. Solitude empowers individuals to cultivate a relationship with themselves, whereas isolation diminishes their sense of connection with the world. The distinction lies in one's mindset and approach. Solitude, when embraced, becomes a source of empowerment rather than despair. Additionally, Kobo encouraged Elena to view solitude as a chance to reevaluate her existing relationships. He explained that some relationships might drain energy rather than provide support, often stemming from a pursuit of quantity over quality. By stepping back, she could assess which connections truly add value to her life and which ones exist merely out of convenience or habit. This process of discernment, Kobo assured her, would help her focus on nurturing meaningful relationships built on mutual respect and understanding. Kobo concluded by reminding Elena that solitude is not an end but a means to greater fulfillment. It is a time to cultivate self-compassion, explore one's passions, and strengthen one's emotional foundation. By embracing solitude, one can emerge more confident, centered, and capable of forming deeper connections with others. Elena, inspired by his words, began to see her loneliness not as a burden but as an invitation to grow, a phase of life that could lead to greater peace and wisdom. In solitude, Kobo taught, lies the seed of transformation. It is not a void to be feared but a space to be cherished, where the self can flourish and relationships can be redefined. Through solitude, one learns to value not just connections with others, but also the most essential connection of all, the one with oneself. In every encounter lies a hidden gift. Some teach patience, others inspire growth, and a few challenges to rise above. By understanding that every relationship has a purpose, we can navigate life with greater wisdom and gratitude. Key takeaways. 1. Life's encounters are not random but purposeful. 2. Helping others requires respect for their autonomy. 3. Protect your peace by recognizing toxic patterns. 4. Forgiveness is a path to inner liberation. 5. Balance kindness with self-respect. 6. Solitude fosters personal and spiritual growth. Remember, each person you meet contributes to the symphony of your life. Listen to the melody, learn from its notes, and let it guide you toward spiritual fulfillment. If this resonates with you, share it with someone who could benefit from these lessons. Let's build a community of mindful connections and shared wisdom.